What's up, YouTube? AntiHeroDrink here with another video. As always, I want to go speak to you beautiful cats and dolls out there in YouTube land and just throw my thoughts and my ideas at you on RPG video games and the nostalgia it brings to us as players. So, kicking off my next video, I want to go talk about symbolism and RPG video games, especially the symbolism we find in religious RPG video games. Two instances in video games that I've really noticed this, well, three, but my information is pretty scratchy on Breath of Fire 2, which has an abundance of religious symbolism, even having you fight Death Heaven, with a letter missing or two. But I want to go bring up the instance in religion in Star Ocean 3 to the Ends of Time. Now, a lot of you might be thinking that the game wasn't hugely and vocally about religion, but when we think about it, the question of God came into the play definitely around the end of the game, and it got very symbolic with its story. If we think back upon the adventure of Faye and his crew and what they had to go through of fighting some unknown enemy across the fucking universe, attacking random galaxies and planets, and trying to go destroy the Milky Way star system or whatever have you, we come to a point in which these characters come across the fact that they're able, well, at least a couple of characters in the main group, are able to transfer or teleport or however you like to go about it from their plane of existence to the 4D space. In the 4D space, however, they enter the Eternal Spirit. In the Eternal Spirit, they find out that their universe, their lives, and everything else about them is a compilation of data, zeros and ones, and they themselves are no more than, how could we go say this, but ill-forgotten computer data, which is problematic to their creator, Lucin or Lucifer. I can barely think or remember the guy's name. Sorry, YouTube. But nonetheless, he comes into play and tries to go delete these characters and their so-called useless or ill-forgotten data. Now, this gets very symbolic and, like I said, very close to the end because it brings up the question of existence. And when Faye and his group argue that they do exist and that they are more than just ill-forgotten data, Lucifer, or Lucifin, I still can't think of his name, and I'm sorry, YouTube, fights them and says that, you guys are no more than a combination of zeros and ones, which they truly are because they are data in essence. And that, since they are data, their feelings, their emotions, and their own existence is no more than a program that's grown out of control. And it's grown out of control to the point in which it can actually harm people within the actual real world. So, for a little retrospective or a recap of this, this is the idea if your toaster all of a sudden got up and zapped you. And it's going to meet the bad hand of a hammer. And if any really government officials jump in, it will definitely meet the bad hand of some type of fully automatic fire power or weapon. Your thoughts on that, YouTube? But I really think it's really interesting the level of symbology that they actually brought up in the ending of the game, whether if not they truly did or truly did not exist. I mean, they do defeat the final boss because it's an RPG in a J-style fashion. You always triumphant over your enemies, but even though they defeat the final boss and they, sustain their point of existence, do they truly exist? Are they beyond the idea of zeros and ones? I mean, these questions are left unanswered with just some judo philosophical point, but nonetheless, that's pretty much how Star Ocean ends. But I really like to recap on the fact the symbolism was quite beautiful to the closing to the end of the game. Another one that had quite a good symbolism, retrospective, and very religious oomph to it, if you may, was definitely Renaissance of Fate, people. Mm. Renaissance of Fate final boss, I think it was Roland or something like that, was charismatic. Sorry if I'm screwing up that word. Nonetheless, he was just so devout in his feelings and his ideas towards religion. He was so devout to it that he needed the explanation, or he needed to understand that there was a power beyond Zenith, I believe. Because in this game, Zenith people is a giant machine that can control life and death. And at some point, he felt as if he can control it, if he could alter it, that he had himself sustained the power to control God. And he believed that there had to be a power beyond this power, that God itself, the existence of absolute power, was not some machine that could be controlled by man, which forced him to do horrific and monstrosities of things to force God's hand, to say, show me that you exist. And it was quite beautiful the way it ended and everything. And just the and the feeling you got from the boss battle. And the character himself was quite well portrayed. And something you don't see a lot in RPG video games nowadays. He was just so devout and imprecise. Not imprecise, but he was just so precise about his feelings towards the ultimate and higher power. It's really a wonderful thing if you played this game, and if you haven't, I highly suggest you play it. But those are just two incidences in my retrospective about just religion and video games. I'm sure you people out there on YouTube have come across your own, and I implore you, comment. Tell me if you come across any games that really have a real religious that in their video games, or just your ideas on religion in RPG video games. As always, I'm the Anti-Hero Drink here at RPG Mayhem. Good night and happy boss hunting, you beautiful cats and dolls out there in YouTube land. Peace, sayonara.